If you want to stand out in a crowded, competitive industry like filmmaking, there's one thing you absolutely need to be doing and pushing in all of your applications. And if you're not, you're leaving great jobs and money on the table. For example, when applying for a filmmaking job as a director of photography, often there are 2 or 3 cinematographers that are of equal quality when it comes to setting up interviews, shooting verite, and capturing great-looking B-roll. So, the final decision of who to hire could be based on other factors that have little to do with actual filmmaking skills. And today, I want to talk about an approach to career advancement that will make you more hireable and allow you to get cooler jobs and better pay. Let's do it. This video is sponsored by Audio. First, let's talk about the wrong way of going about trying to differentiate yourself. And that's by trying to be the best. The best cinematographer, the best filmmaker, the best editor. In any creative pursuit, whether that's music, painting, or filmmaking, we have this fascination with mastery, in that we prop up the masters of our field and are all trying to achieve a similar level of expertise. We all want to be able to create a mood like Fincher or master the visual medium like Deakins, but such a pursuit is a bit of a fool's errand. The path to true mastery can take decades or longer, but to achieve true mastery and be the best, or at least one of the best, could take tens of thousands of hours and therefore decades of work. And there will always be someone out there with better resources, more time, less kids, a better mentor, or any of the other millions of variables that have an effect on career progress. It's also just not a very good differentiator, as art is subjective, and therefore one person's best may be another person's slightly above average. So once we've achieved general competency, we need to differentiate ourselves in another way. How do you do that? With a concept called skill stacking. And to demonstrate what skill stacking is, I'm going to go ahead and pull in my child's Duplos to help us out. Let's go back to our early example of 3 cinematographers all vying for the same documentary DP job. Let's say they all have an equal amount of experience and credits and are equally competent in interview lighting and shooting verite footage. All 3 of these DPs are seemingly equal, but they're all vying for the same job. They all have the same experience, they're all competent in setting up great looking interviews and shooting verite observational footage. So which of these 3 would you hire? It would probably depend on the topic of the documentary and which person has a skill set outside of filmmaking that will help make the project better. Is this film about an oceanographer? Then they will probably choose the person who can also scuba dive. Suddenly, there's a pretty clear choice of who to hire. And this is a personal example that just happened to me. I'm currently the lead DP on a film about an oceanographer. And even though the producers of the film didn't know I was a certified scuba diver and I had done some underwater filming before contacting me, it ultimately had a large role in me getting the job. While the film has a dedicated underwater cinematographer, if the producers hire me, they automatically get a solid B-cam underwater cinematographer as well, when they weren't even expecting one, but of course can still handle all of the above water cinematography tasks. While I never fully pursued being an underwater cinematographer, being an avid scuba diver and having that skill set made me instantly more hireable for this specific job than the other guys. So now that you understand what skill stacking is, let's talk about 5 specific ways you can stack your own skills and be not only very hireable, but indispensable. All right, number 1, learn a specific skill. The most apparent way to combine skills is to figure out what you already love to do and then see if you can combine it with filmmaking. My scuba diving proficiency is an excellent example of this approach. Another great example is Jimmy Chin, the Oscar-winning documentary filmmaker who started out as a rock climber, then a photographer, before ultimately becoming an award-winning filmmaker. While Jimmy is a good cinematographer and a fine filmmaker, he is definitely not the best at either. But he is the best cinematographer that can also climb some of the most dangerous mountains in the world. He is a perfect example of someone who has 2 distinct skills, filmmaking and mountain climbing, that he has stacked to the major benefit of his career. But you don't have to be a world-class mountain climber to stack skills. It can be something simple like being a scuba diver, or maybe just riding a dirt bike or being able to climb a tree. I'm sure that applies to some movie out there somewhere. I just learned of a film about raft guides, and they hired a DP because he specifically used to be a raft guide. Bam, skills stacked. For editors, often a proficiency in music or being able to play an instrument is really useful, as people who are musically trained often have a good sense of rhythm and pace, 2 imperative skills for editors. Plus, they'll probably pick better music for your cuts. Which brings me to today's sponsor, Audio. When it comes to stacking skills and features, nobody in music licensing does it better than audio. Music with actual bands and artists and not just dull stock music? Check. A large collection of sound effects? Audio has that too. But other licensing platforms have those as well. So where does audio stand out? Well, they have 3 features that, when stacked, makes audio a service that stands above the rest. The first is price. For indie filmmakers or online creators, price is always important. And if you use the code CURREN70 at checkout or click the link below, you'll get 70% off the first year of a pro subscription. That's just 59 bucks. The second big feature is Link Match AI, which allows users to paste any song from any source to find music that sounds similar. And finally, the best feature that audio has is called Elements, which is the ability to download the stems, the individual instruments, from each track and manually mix them yourself in the edit. That's brilliant. Great music, sound effects, AI match feature, downloadable stems, and an incredibly affordable price. Audio is the platform that has stacked features to make it the obvious choice. So use the code CURREN70 at checkout or click the link below and you'll get 70% off the first year of a pro subscription. All right, let's get back to stacking your own skills. Outside of physical skills like diving or climbing that give you access to different stories, one of the most sought after skills when people are hiring documentary crews is the ability to speak a second language. I have seen countless job postings and opportunities that put high preference on people who can speak the language where the work is taking place. As someone who has done a lot of branded content for Marriott hotels, it has been incredibly valuable to have a collaborator, Elliot, who can fluently speak Spanish, as I cannot. In the last few years, we've made films in Peru, Mexico, and Costa Rica, so having a Spanish speaker made the process much smoother and the final film that much better. Even if Elliot was a worse videographer or editor than someone else I could hire, I would still hire him for these jobs because being able to speak Spanish is more important to me than having another person do the same job I'm already doing. Luckily, he is also good at shooting and editing, so the extra skill of speaking Spanish is just an added bonus. And that's the whole point of skill stacking. You are combining skills to make you more hireable. Your skills should be alleviating some pain point for the producing team, and speaking another language is one of the biggest pain points for doc projects anywhere. Another skill you could develop is to become knowledgeable in a very specific topic. This could obviously mean a lot of things, and it would be difficult to guess which topics would be the most beneficial to learn to enhance your own career. But here's an example from my career that maybe can act as a guide. While not our main goal, my wife and I became pretty darn knowledgeable about the issues of addiction and the opioid epidemic while making our 2 films, Heroin and Recovery Boys, for Netflix. Before making these films, this wasn't a topic I knew much about. But after 2 years and having 2 successful films on the topic, it was an area that we had some expertise, and that resulted in quite a bit of work. First, we made a music video for John Prine because he wrote a song to a loved one who is suffering from addiction. Then we made a film about how addiction impacts young children for Sesame Street and Communities, and that won a Daytime Emmy Award in the process. Also, my experience of embedding with first responders on overdose calls resulted in a cinematography job for the Netflix series Business of Drugs. Think through the things you like and see how you combine them with filmmaking, whether that's addiction recovery, track and field, the Roman Empire, amateur boxing, country music, or any other topic you can imagine. You may not see this next one as a skill, but it definitely is, and that's to know a place really well, whether that's a city, state, region, or an entire country. If you know a place, then if someone ever wants to make a film in that place, you become very valuable to them. It takes a long time to build a community and have the trust of that community, and so if you've already done the legwork in a specific place, then producers will ask for your help to speed up that process. A perfect example of this is when Parts Unknown with Anthony Bourdain filmed in West Virginia. The director Mo had spent some time in West Virginia, but called on my wife Elaine to help him source the different people that Anthony Bourdain should speak to during the 10-day shoot. As a result, more than half of the people featured in that episode of Parts Unknown were people who agreed specifically because Elaine connected them. And the episode ended up being a big hit and winning an Emmy Award. So while you may want to move to Los Angeles or New York City to get more work, know that if you are from a place, then your knowledge and connections in that place could be a valuable skill, whether that's Appalachia, Alaska, Cusco, Peru, or even the suburbs of Columbus. Often producers will look for local crew whenever possible and only take on the added expense of bringing in an outside crew member if they can't find anyone who can deliver the quality of work they are looking for. So if there are 2 great cinematographers that have equal skills and the project is filming in Appalachia, then which of these 2 people do you think they'll hire? Probably the Appalachian. Finally, the most important skill you can always work on is the simplest in concept, but for some people, the hardest to do. And that's just to be nice. We don't think of being pleasant or nice or easy to work with as a skill, but it definitely is. You can work on it. You can be more accommodating. You can go the extra mile. You can be the person who is always positive on set. You can be the one who sets subjects at ease with a nicely timed joke. Or you can just generally be supportive of everyone else in the crew who is there to achieve the same goal as you. I recently shot a project that didn't pick me as their DP at first. They already had a DP. But apparently that person turned out to be not very nice. So that person was fired. And the producers called me. And I shot on that project for 6 separate multi-day shoots. So I must have been at least nice enough to not get fired. If you're going to be a jerk, you better be the literal best at your job in the world. Because that's one of the few ways people will actually put up with it. If you're replaceable, and almost all of us are, then you better be nice. So if you have all these skills, depending on the project that you're being hired for, then you're automatically quite a bit more valuable than someone who has a lot of verite experience and can speak Spanish, but doesn't know how to set up interviews and doesn't have much experience. So as you can tell, this person instantly becomes more hireable for a specific job about scuba diving for lost cars in Appalachian lakes. Hire that guy. He could probably do it. Now, these set of skills may not be perfect for every project and could honestly be the wrong combination for a specific job. But you don't need them to be right for every job, just 1 or 2 a year. And that set of skills definitely applies to some job. In the end, stacking skills isn't about being a jack of all trades and a master of none. It's about being a master of your craft by combining all of the right skills that make you more effective and more valuable on any project. That's what makes you hireable. That's what keeps you working consistently in this ever-changing industry. So what about you? Are there any skills that you have that are unique or ordinary that has helped you get jobs in the past? Let me know in the comments below. And thanks to Audio for sponsoring this video.